3, 1928 AD, the Kellogg-Briand Pact saw 62 countries sign a pact to renounce war as an instrument of national policy. The original countries to sign are in green, and then later the lime green countries signed as well. The League of Nations. So this has been President Wilson's dream, that there would be such a peacekeeping, diplomatic group of nations to talk. And they had some setbacks where they couldn't actually enforce what they decided. D, the Great Depression. Number 1, the Great Depression began in the U.S. Farm and factories had overproduction. There was fragile credit, over-speculation in stocks and real estate. Number 2, October 1929, the American stock market crash causes enormous financial losses and triggers a global financial crisis throughout the world. We grow up in America, we know about the American Great Depression, but we don't always learn until high school that it was a chain of dominoes that caused the whole world to go through a depression because American money was so important to other countries. It was just this domino effect, depressing the economies of all the world. Number 3, American bankers were called loans to European banks. There's that domino. Austria's largest bank fails, leading to bank failures across Europe, and then Asia, and also Africa. Number 4, the financial crisis led to a sharp decline in global trade and manufacturing. A high percentage of people unemployed throughout the world. Number 5, the U.S. raised protective tariffs, which forced other nations to retaliate, to try to keep products making a profit, but people couldn't afford to buy anything anyway. Number 6, governments cut budgets and reduced spending, accelerating the economic collapse. This was kind of this vicious cycle. Number 7, the Great Depression replaced the optimism of the 1920s with growing sense of doubt and fear. Number 8, the Depression created uncertainty and insecurity for millions of unemployed workers. Number 9, many questioned capitalism and democracy, looking for a radical alternative. And then you have the rise of dictatorships. This is the radical alternative. Number 1, the state attempted to control economic, social, intellectual, and cultural life. Number 2, totalitarian states used violence to achieve state goals regardless of individual rights. Number 3, the state used modern technology and communication to manipulate and censor information. Propaganda became huge. Number 4, they used education. State-sponsored public education to mold loyal citizens and demonize scapegoats and enemies. Number 5, extreme racism was put forward. This was based on social Darwinism, a master race theory, survival of the fittest from Darwin. Number 6, the government exercised control over the media, got most media outlets to always speak well of their party. Roman numeral 4, we're going to talk about Lenin, Stalin, and communist Russia, and this is not pleasant. 1921 to 1939. A, Lenin and the new economic policy. So all of these nations were gobbled up by Russia, and they were forced to become part of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. When I was little in school, Russia wasn't what you learned on the map. It was the USSR. The USSR competed in the Olympics. And a lot of these countries didn't have a say in that and were forced to be part of this kind of godless nation where they turned churches into swimming pools by the government. Number 1, famine and a weak economy and unrest plagued Russia following the Civil War. Number 2, March 1921 AD, Lenin develops the new economic policy calling for elements of capitalism, a retreat from communism. Lenin says we're not civilized enough for socialism. Number 3, small businesses are denationalized and peasants, including the kulaks, are allowed to establish free markets for farmers.